Today, we're talking about building an organic funnel, an organic traffic funnel. So, organic traffic is a beautiful thing, but it's often hard to plan. So, paid ads is something we talk a lot about here. And we love paid ads because it makes business into a math equation. But a lot of the time, companies don't have a budget or they want to really maximize organic traffic. And there are three main parts to an organic funnel. Number one is awareness, number two is trust, and number three is action. So, in this episode, Ben and I are going to talk about the importance of building an organic funnel and exactly how you can make your own. So, this is Third Wave, episode number 8. We are entering a new era in marketing. So, first, it was traditional advertising like billboards, newspapers, mail. Then the internet came along, and advertisers started to hack their way into people's inboxes and search results. But now we're embarking on a third wave, which is AI, Web3, and we have to we have to really build trust with our audience because it's becoming more human centered and not just caught up in all the metadata and the hacking. So this sounds like a daunting task, but Ben and I are here to talk about the new strategies that can help you kill it in today's digital world. Ben, what are you drinking this morning?
Some solid H2O, my man.
We got to get you some coffee, dude.
I know.
And that's one of the things about Third Wave. The name is we love specialty coffee. Apparently, Ben loves specialty water, but
What coffee are you drinking?
I got a light roast Ethiopian from Black and Bold. So I'm going back and forth between them and the Galena one I have still. So,
Nice.
um, anyway, we'll just get right into it. I have a little presentation and it'll kind of help us just spark some ideas along the way. So first of all, this is something that we talk about a lot. Basically, revenue is a function of traffic, conversions, and price. So this is true in the real physical world, but it's even truer in the digital world because you can actually assign concrete numbers to this. Where, for example, a mom and pop shop, you get a certain number of people walking in the door, a certain number of people want to buy something, and then they pay a specific price for it. And the same thing happens online with a website, an e commerce business, so on. So the way to acquire traffic, there are two ways. There's paid and there's organic. So paid will be like ads. If you're giving Google or Facebook money to get in front of people, and organic is going to be people finding out about you through non-paid means, stuff like social media, podcasts, things like that, blogs. And then conversions, you really want to build high trust. So you need the person to trust you and your product or service, and then hit them with a great offer. And the offer should do a lot of the heavy lifting for you if the trust is there. So, and then price obviously is pretty self explanatory. The one thing I tell people is like you can play with price just like you would any other part of the equation because it's like a bell curve. There's a maximum price. There's a certain price that will offer the maximum results. Too low, and you just won't be charging enough. Too high, and not enough people will buy it. So don't be afraid to play with price too. But we're going to focus more on traffic, specifically the organic traffic. So here is the basics of a funnel I mentioned earlier. So at the top, you have awareness. And then in the middle, you have trust. And towards the bottom, you have action. So we're just going to break apart each piece of this funnel. But first, hold on. This is one thing that we forget a lot. We kind of go right to the funnel and we forget to define who we're going after, who we're targeting. A lot of the time, who and their problem is more important than the what of our solution. So when you start to define who you're going after, um, you want to start to think about the things that you know or you deal with on a daily basis that other people don't. What are the problems that you solve daily? So some questions to really start to spark this is, what do people ask you often? What do you find yourself talking about a lot? What's the inside scoop in your industry? And who would buy your product or service? So a lot of these are kind of sounding like the what's, um, but these questions kind of get me thinking about like the who also. So you need to basically find a specific avatar with a specific problem. And then once you start to develop that, you can create a quick little UVP. This doesn't have to be fancy. Um, so how do you provide value that other people don't? So for example, in our newsletter, um, every Saturday morning, we offer one actionable tip for small to medium sized business owners to help them build predictable revenue sources through digital ads. So it's kind of like one sentence that just hits hard and makes the person understand all like what you're about, what you're doing here, how you're going to provide value. And it doesn't have to be perfect, um, but it'll honestly just help you even more than it'll help your customers understand kind of like what you're doing. So then we'll just start at the top. So awareness. So first of all, nobody can buy from you or work with you if they don't know you exist. So that's the first thing is we got to make them aware that you exist and aware that you're in a specific industry and potentially capable of solving their problem. So the best way to build organic awareness is short social media posts. I like to schedule them through Buffer sometimes if I'm trying to do a lot at once. Um, or sometimes I'll just go straight into the app, like on LinkedIn. But this is the best way to start to get people into your funnel. You start to gain followers and connections, and then we're going to quickly move to the next piece, which is trust. And so, a huge thing about trust is that people are only going to work with and buy from people that they trust. So, if you gain enough trust with the person, this is an easy way to slide them straight down to action. So, Ben and I have a bronze, silver, gold trust method. I just sent that out in our last newsletter, actually, where we kind of define if we go through our list of connections, we can kind of assign a bronze, silver, or gold level trust to each person. And for example, if someone's bronze trust, that means that they know who we are, but they don't really trust us at this point. They don't really know us personally. Silver means that they have a little bit of trust in us, but they're not really sure that what we do will solve their problem. And then gold would mean that they have all the trust in us in the world, and it's basically a done deal. So, long story short, trust is a solid way to really quickly work people down the funnel. The best way I think to build trust is through longer form content. So we have the awareness at the top, which is short form social media posts. And then you can funnel people into your long form posts where they start to understand that you're like truly an expert on the subject. So a lot of people a lot of people post on blogs like on their own website, and the problem is a lot of the time it has no traffic. And there are people on platforms like LinkedIn, Medium, and Growth Hackers, and there's tons more, who are just waiting for this content. They're like eager to eat it up because I'm on Medium, for example, like reading stuff. I follow like hashtags, marketing, digital ads, and there's some extremely intelligent people posting long form content. And that's one way I trust a lot of the people I read about because you can tell through the long form content that they actually know what they're talking about. So, overview right now is short social media posts, um, and then you build a lot of trust with your longer form content. And if you don't like writing and you're better just speaking to a camera, you can also do a YouTube channel. And then an optional way to build trust that we have done is to send these posts out through a newsletter. And this is just really good because you can get people into your ecosystem. And from a marketing perspective, having that data, having those emails of people who are actually eager to get your content is huge, because then once a month or once every couple months, you can maybe just reach out and say, are you looking to solve this problem? Can I help you in any way? Um, so at FitQuest, we have the Third Wave newsletter that's kind of a little bit of an extension of this show. And like I said before, we send out one actionable tip every Saturday morning. And we want to make sure that the people in that newsletter really want it. We're not trying to just trick them into getting on. We give them clear unsubscribe links and things like that. So now that we've kind of talked about building trust, building awareness through short social media posts, and then getting people into your longer form content to build trust, the only thing that's left is having them take action. So overall, we tell people that websites are not good for driving results. I like to think of a website as more of a general like piece of real estate. It's almost like an office building where you can go in, you can learn a little bit about the company. It's just overviews. But super tailored landing pages are what are going to drive the results. So, when you want people to take action, you want to make a landing page with one call to action, and then a few elements of it would be at the hero section, like the top section you see on the right. You want a big promise, what they can expect. And then as you work down the page, you're going to start to pick apart their problem. You're going to start to really tell them why it sucks. Basically, here you want to be saying the things that they think or complain about daily. And then you're going to start to hit them with how you solve it and the benefits, and then lots of social proof. This can be testimonials, this can be screenshots, this can be case studies, this can be awards. Social proof is huge. So that's just a little bit about taking action. If we're diving more into taking action, a lot of it would come down to the offer, which we'll talk about more later, though, because the offer is a huge chunk that we can't talk about right now. But, and then finally, just a little bonus after the funnel is that referrals are going to act as your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So, referrals is the only channel that's going to be exponentially growing. And we can see that here. This is kind of what an illustration of a solid product that's referred looks like. One person brings two, those two people bring two, and it grows very quickly. So that's a little bit about building an organic funnel. Ben, what are some things that stood out to you about that process, the 3 tiers of awareness, trust, and then action?
I think like one is just kind of understanding where your like potential audience is at stands out instead of like constantly always trying to go for the close with every post, with every reach out, etc. Just because they might not have that trust level that's needed to really be a buying customer for you.
Mhm.
So kind of trying to figure out, okay, where are they at in that process, and then use content to help develop them further and figure out even if they are going to be a client or not, because maybe they're not well suited for your product or service, or they wouldn't be a good client for you guys just in general. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of important to figure out and ask yourself kind of where are they going to fit down in the funnel? Are they closer to the bottom, close to the top? And that's kind of, it's just nice because then that kind of helps you give an idea to how you should kind of attack it in a way.
Yeah. And like, that's a good point because you're not, I heard an analogy that's like you didn't try to marry your wife on the first date. So it's like you can't expect someone to just get into the awareness of your funnel and then buy from you. And like there's a guy I follow on LinkedIn called his name's Justin Welsh. And the thing is, I bought a course from him within a day of of becoming aware that he exists, but I still went through the whole funnel. I didn't just see his social post and buy the course. I like saw it and then I went to his profile and saw more and then I went and read like almost all of his blog posts and then I finally did it. It was kind of like even if you dive down the rabbit hole in one day, which is beautiful about digital, like the digital world, is that if you have all that stuff out there, people can do that. People work their own way down the funnel if it's good, which is awesome. But he obviously is very meticulous about how he does it. So that's like an extreme example. But then you said like where they are at in the funnel and also just where they are hanging out, period. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people ask us, so many people ask us like I should be posting on this platform and that platform and all the platforms I hear of. And most of the time it's we're just like, no, you need to stay away from those platforms like the plague. Like which one or two platforms are your people on? And like lock in on those. It's like and then
Yeah, I mean, for
later.
example, for us, like we're working with like business owners, marketing directors. We're gonna be, that's why we spend a lot of our time on LinkedIn doing these lives, etc. As part of it. This is where our audience is going to hang out, and Braden and I just do this for fun, but it's helpful in that regard too. It's not like for us, like we should be advertising on Snapchat or Instagram, etc. A lot of that stuff isn't going to be super helpful for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you start to boil it down to like one or maybe two platforms, pick I would say start picking one social media platform where you can post the shorter form stuff, like ours would be LinkedIn, and then down from that, one that you could post long form stuff. Right now, I've been posting. See, because I'm like I've set up automations with Zapier, I can distribute these easily. But if I wasn't familiar with Zapier, I'd pick one like Medium or something, or and then try to drive people to that. Or we're doing our newsletter, which is basically just some way where the people who are interested can get more long form stuff.
And the biggest thing too with all this stuff is, so Braden asked in the beginning, who's the person you're trying to talk to, etc. So what do they want to hear? What information is valuable to them? And talk about that, write about that. It doesn't have to be well produced. It doesn't have to be, mainly just well produced. But you can just write a quick little blog on LinkedIn or a quick little paragraph or a couple sentences, as long as it's valuable to that audience. And if it is, and it shows your worth, etc., then do that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's going to get people intrigued, and that's what's going to get people to start following you and keeping up to date with your stuff. And when they're ready to become a customer, they will reach out.
Mm-hmm. And there's two things that I think about is number one, don't try to make the problem of your target person an afterthought. Don't try to like say I can do all these things, so this is how I'm going to fit my person, my customer into it, and I'm going to fit their problem into it. You got to start with the problem. What is the real problem? And then how can you solve that? We get caught up in this sometimes where we like have these skills and we have this vision, and then we try to find like how we can squeak this person and their problem into it. And like, no, you got to start with the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then two would be when you're making these things like the posts, they're not going to blow up. That's the thing. Organic traffic takes a long time to build. It's a slow burn, and that's why you have to put the success in the action and not the outcome. So that's why Ben and I are like doing the 100 by 100, because we're making the reach outs and like the making content, the action or the success. That's a win when we do it, not when we like get people from it, because then you're going to get super discouraged in the first couple months when you don't get anything, because it compounds and it's a slow burn. So
Yeah, for
focus on
sure.
the doing. Cool. So this was a short one. Any cool news you got here, Ben, to wrap us up?
News like
I don't
trending.
know, something funny, something weird that happened. I'll start.
I guess my dogs at my parents' house, Buddy and Trinity, they got attacked by a raccoon last night.
Interesting.
So Trinity's got a little wound, so they're gonna take her to the vet today, make sure she's okay and stuff.
Buddy.
Buddy's like scared to death.
Well,
Buddy's
what's
just like a
new?
little rat terrier dude. So he is absolutely petrified, basically.
Dude, Buddy's been scarred since day one.
Yeah, Buddy's had a rough life. Essentially, he was found like living on the streets for like a year of his life. He's just a little dude. I'm not positive on how he kind of made it, but he's just like a little cuddle bug now, and he gets very scared very easily for sure. But thankfully they're
Yeah.
okay, and hopefully nothing's kind of like got transferred to Trinity since she has like a little wound.
Mhm.
But yeah, hopefully that's gonna be all good.
Heck yeah. So there was a guy at the gym yesterday who, strong dude. He like he worked up to 5 plates on squat and just crushed it. He moved it
This is
like
a
I
big
would do
dude.
like 225.
Is it the
And
big
then
guy? Like the really big guy?
no, he was no, he was shorter and he was just like built. You could tell he was probably on roids, but and then he like crushed
Most
it.
of
I
the
don't
people
think
in the
he's
gym
gotten
are.
something like that before. But then all the guys were around him pumping him up. They threw 25s on a 50-pound jump, and everybody was watching and yelling and like cheering. And he like hit the bottom and he started to come up and hit that wall and didn't get it. But I don't know. If you're humble, like he was a humble guy, I'm all for it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just can't stand when guys are all feeling themselves and stuff. But no, it was
Yeah,
fun to watch. I mean, that's some big weight.
for sure.
But anyway, so we have a newsletter that goes out every Saturday morning. One actionable tip to help small and medium business owners build a predictable revenue source through digital ads. So if you're interested in signing up for that this weekend, I think we're talking about how we basically turned like just over $700 into like 40,000 in revenue for one of our clients in about 3 weeks through digital ads. So if you guys want to learn about that, then check out the description and it'll be the link, the newsletter link. And then if you're a marketer or a business owner, you probably have heard or said this statement before. I have no problem spending money on marketing if it works. But the problem is, how do we know what works? And it's either through magic, which sadly we are not magicians, or it's through the 4 T's. which is target, tailor, test, and track. And in order to help us efficiently use the 4 T's, we built Page Army, which is a system that can create up to 10,000 landing pages in the snap of a finger. So this basically helps us test really quickly with agility what's working to get people to actually convert. And then we can actually use those A/B tests to gather data. So we like to use more of a profitability focus on things like ROAS and LTV to CAC because it kind of gives you more of a better picture of what's going on with these ads in your business. Where something like cost per click or cost per lead is kind of a vanity metric. You can use it in the beginning to start to gather data, but then once you have good data, you want to start moving towards profitability because that's what makes your business actually grow. And the best part is that we're a performance-based agency. So basically, we figure out what your goals are and we will not stop working until we make that happen. So if you guys are interested in a 30-minute discovery call, you can check out the link below. Anything you want to add there, Ben?
No, just love to. Basically, we set this up just because we're competitive people. On doing performance based, and essentially, we don't want to just do a one and done. We want to partner with other people. So basically, as you grow, we grow as well. So let's just grow together, and yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you on Friday.